You're good.
Okay.
There's nothing to be nervous about. You've killed it all 3 times. People love us.
Yeah, people love you.
People love you, actually.
I'm just your, what did your brother say?
Sidekick.
My sister and her sidekick.
Sidekick.
That's
Have you seen Sky
Yeah,
High?
that's Coach Boomer.
He's like, can you make
Sorry.
Kyle wear the All-American Boy outfit? All-American Boy. Okay. Would you
Count us down.
wear that outfit?
For what?
This. Every time.
Would you wear the Coach Boomer outfit or?
Yeah.
Sure.
Coach Moon. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about first date etiquette, the best way to get to know somebody, whether it's a date or a hangout.
And what to do after the first date if you weren't feeling it.
Is it ever okay to ghost someone? Let's find out.
Okay,
Here we are.
this conversation started between us because we were talking about the difference between like a hangout versus a first date. And I think everybody interprets the phrase hangout differently, and I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah, we had you guys send in your responses to this one, and I don't think there was a single answer that was the same. Not a single one.
Everybody interprets it differently, and so moral of the story, I'm gonna, little spoiler alert for our ending message, is always just lead with intention when you're like asking to hang out, asking to go on a date. Because my idea of a hangout was, oh, we're just gonna go do something fun, but it's not this structured date where one person is gonna pay for the other, or like we're meeting at a specific time. It's like, for me in my head, if I ask someone to hang out, it's like, oh, we could be watching a movie together, but we could also be going to play volleyball together, going to the grocery store together.
Yeah, lifestyle dating.
Lifestyle dating, but lifestyle hanging out.
Lifestyle hangout.
But then when I was talking about that with you, you were like, do you know when you ask somebody to hang out, it's kind of alluding to you want to like make out?
Which is
Netflix and chill type vibes.
Well,
and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been kind of putting out the wrong energy then when I'm hanging out with
as we
guys.
kind of explored this conversation, though, it was like, that's not, like, if I were to ask somebody to hang out, that's not what I'm implying. But coming from the guy's perspective, I'm thinking, I wouldn't ask a girl to just hang out because I would think that that's what she thinks I'm thinking.
Right.
That got kind of confusing, but is that making sense?
It is making sense, especially once we started to see the answers roll in, is like 95% of the girls were like, if a guy's asking me to hang out, I'm assuming that he's trying to get down tonight, like make out or whatever. And I was like, well, shoot. Like, I remember...
And then Emily's out here just asking every boy to hang out.
And in my head, I'm like, oh, if I'm asking somebody to hang out, it's more just a friend type thing, like, oh, let's just hang out, let's do something casual. But then all of a sudden I realized I'm putting out all this energy to these guys, like, oh, you want to hang out? Like, make out is probably what they thought I was asking.
Yeah, especially when in like some of these situations you're like, hey, I'm available after my daughter goes to bed. You want to come hang out at my house late at night?
And it's like, it sounds so bad once I say that, but I'm like, that's what I'm available to do, is like...
Yeah.
Hang out at my house, chill, talk, watch a movie, whatever.
I
can't just leave my daughter home alone.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying at the beginning. Like, just being very upfront about your intentions is probably the best way to go.
Yes. People definitely had opinions on whether or not you can start out like a friendship or getting to know situationship with a hangout. Lots of girls were like, it has to be a first date for me to want to even participate. Like, they like knowing that they're being pursued officially.
Right. It was like, what criteria have to be met in like an opening conversation with somebody or in conversation leading up to a date in order for them to be ready to commit to a date? And it was interesting to see what people thought there too, because it's like some people wanted you to just like, I don't know, match on a dating app and then opening line. It's like, hey, let's go on a date. That's the easiest way to get to know you. Some people were like, no, I'm not going on a date unless I know exactly what I'm doing, exactly who it's going to be with, exactly what time, what I need to wear, what I need to wear.
So that was the biggest thing.
Was by far the biggest thing.
And I remember when we first had this conversation, I was like, as long as I know what I need to wear. Because there's a difference between what if the date is outside mini golf in the middle of the fall, like I want to know I should probably wear like warm clothing, versus dinner at a nice place. I want to wear a hot dress, like, you know? So I need to know what to wear. Or what if we're like doing something active? Like playing a sport or like going on a hike or a walk or something. I want to make sure the shoes I'm wearing are good. So as long as I know what to wear, I'm good. And what time it's at and how long this activity is going to be, whatever.
Yeah, I think there's like some basics that obviously make sense. Like time, where, so you can either like meet up or get picked up. But beyond that, like, what do you think?
For me personally, like I said, like all I care about is, it's kind of fun to be surprised sometimes. And I think they might be taking their time to plan the date first, you know, or figuring out all the moving pieces of what it's actually going to be. So they might not have the full idea yet. But then other girls were like, if he doesn't know yet, like, he owes me like the respect of having something planned out before he asks me. Right. A lot of girls said that was like a huge turn on, huge green flag if he has like everything perfectly planned out. Some
super elaborate plan. Somebody even put down about what the guy was wearing.
Yeah.
What did she say exactly?
It was cute. She was like, this is actually cute because I know this couple in real life and they're adorable. But she was like, the guy that I'm married to now, like her husband, on their first date, she could just tell that the outfit he was wearing, she's like, I know he at least changed it like 3 times before showing up on the date. Like, he was very thoughtful about the way he was presenting himself on the first date.
Very thoughtful and intentional about making a great first impression.
Which made her feel special then, you know?
Yeah.
And I think some people notice things like that.
Does it have to be like that on every first date, though?
For me, no. But, like, she notices that kind of thing. She has an eye for that kind of thing, which then made her feel special, and they're married now, so success.
And how elaborate was the first date? Like, do you know, did they say what it was?
I'll have to ask them. I'm sure it was elaborate. Their lifestyle, they're so fun. They do, like, cool things. So I'm sure he planned something amazing for her. But I just like to know the basics, and then, again, like, I like to know the intention. Like, wait, are you seeing this as a date, or are you seeing this just as a hangout? So then I can kind of gauge going into it, like, am I going to be flirty tonight or not?
Am I going to be
Do I turn on the flirt or no? You know, like, as long as they give me...
Wait, what do you think is more comfortable?
If I'm, like, first getting to know someone, I personally prefer the hangout first. Not the make-out kind of hangout. The hangout, like, genuinely, like, let's go do something and have fun. Because...
But how, in your experience with the hangouts, like, how unstructured has that actually been? Like, give us examples of, like, stuff that you've actually done when you just hang out with somebody.
Most often it's just, like, a walk. Like, oh, let's start with a walk, and then, like, sometimes halfway through the walk we'll be like, have you eaten? Like, are you getting hungry? We'll go somewhere to get something to eat, or, like, a smoothie bowl or something like that. And it's just kind of nice because it's low-key, and it's almost even... In most cases, I feel like he'll then be like, I'll pay for you, just because it's, like, polite. But if it's a hangout, there's also...
Chivalry is not dead, guys.
Yeah, for once. But, like, there's...
For once.
There's also a low-key enough thing that if we went there and I paid for myself, it wouldn't feel weird because we just said it was a hangout. But then he also doesn't have the pressure to... Like, think about it. When you're, like, in college dating, like, guys don't have a ton of money to just be going on all these elaborate dates all the time. Like, you were even telling me that. So if you kind of start it out as a hangout, it's not this, like, oh, we have to go do something that costs money. You can be casual.
And I think also, if a dude feels like he has to, like, plan some elaborate date in order to get a girl to go out with him, he kind of starts to wonder, okay, does this girl want to go on a date with me and like actually get to know me? Or does she just want to go do this sick, expensive activity that I just planned out for her?
Yeah, this was enlightening for me because I was talking to Kyle about how lots of girls, it stems from insecurity maybe, but maybe not always, but sometimes I think they feel like their worth is attached to how much effort and planning a guy puts into a date. So if the date's like, oh, let's just go see a movie, they're like, well, is that all I'm worth is like a movie, you know? And
Interesting example.
Well,
how often do you go on a movie on a first date?
On a first date, I feel like that's so normal. Like
really?
Dinner and a movie.
I think a movie's like I don't know, that would not be my ideal first date just because in a movie it's not like you really have that much opportunity to actually get to know that person.
It's true.
Unless
okay, I was just throwing out the
talking
first example.
and being disruptive for the other guests.
Okay, I was thinking of the first example that popped in my head that's just basic. But like... Cut that out.
Cut out. Keys fell out of my pocket.
The first thing that popped in my head that was basic was a movie. So a girl might see that and be like, that's all he could come up with. Like, that's all he thinks I'm worth is just like a movie. But then you offered me the insight of, you were like, well, why doesn't a girl just want to spend time with me no matter what it is?
Yeah, it's like, I know she's going to have a great time, whatever we're doing.
Confident. But I get that. Because you're like, like you said, are you coming on this date because it's going to feel like a date off of The Bachelorette or The Bachelor?
Or are you coming on this date because I'm buying this dinner at Ruth's Chris? Afterwards, we're going to go see...
A helicopter ride?
A helicopter ride. After that, we're going to go fly on my private jet to New
a private
Orleans,
concert.
Whatever. Like, I don't know.
It's true, but then it's like, no, from the guy's point of view, you were saying like, I just want to know that she thinks I'm at least cool enough to come get to know me and like spend time with me.
Yeah, come hang out, come do something simple.
Yeah, you're like, you told me, you're like, I promise I'm going to like plan something. It's just, don't let the elaborateness or the expensive versus like cheapness of this date be a reflection of what I feel about you.
I think too, a lot of dates, especially first dates, the actual activity doesn't really require that much advanced planning.
Yeah.
At least the type of first dates I go on. It's like, you're going to go get swig or something, or yeah, you're going to go on a walk somewhere, or you're going to go...
I love the walk dates. The walk hangouts. I just love a walk. I feel like when you're moving your body, your brain... It's actually... There's studies on this. But your brain is like working differently and you're more vulnerable and open, and so your conversation is so much better on a walk.
But any of this stuff is like stuff that you could decide that you're going to go and take your date to do, like while you're on your way to pick her up.
Okay. I don't know if I would wait. You're going to get roasted. I wouldn't wait till just then, because what if like there's a flaw in the plan or whatever? Maybe like the day
then
before.
You improv.
This is my question though for you. First date, do you prefer it one-on-one or like group setting, double date?
I don't know. I don't think it really makes a whole lot of difference. I think like my personality, I probably prefer one-on-one just because I feel like it's easier to get to know people that way.
Same.
But I don't think that double dates are bad. And I think especially where a lot of the feedback we were getting is like, if you're meeting somebody from a dating app or something, it seems, and this is like hard to relate as a guy, but a lot of girls feel like unsafe.
Yeah.
Meeting up for dates. And so I think it's important to be cognizant of that as a guy and be like, hey, I don't have to come pick you up. Like we can meet at a public place.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I do have a buddy, like why don't you bring your friend? And I think that can make it more comfortable for a girl when she's meeting a stranger.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a little bit easier to actually get to know somebody if you're one-on-one.
I way prefer the one-on-one because I'm much more myself just with one other person versus like a group.
Why?
I think I feel safer just being myself because I'm like appealing to one person and can just focus on that one person rather than like feeling like everybody in the group is like forming an opinion about me.
But if you're just being yourself, then what does it matter what their opinion is?
This is something I'm working on, is like I clearly value what people think. I would rather just be like, oh, let's find out if I'm a match with this guy and like see if we like each other's personality rather than having these two other randos like.
Yeah.
And the thing that you said, like, I also prefer to meet up somewhere because, especially since I have a daughter at home, like, I don't really like a ton of people knowing where I live. Or even just being like, hey, I'm at this place if you want to pick me up from here. But that's the main thing.
I think that's, like, totally reasonable, and I think if a guy's, like, not willing to be accommodating with that, then that's probably a red flag.
Then he is the creeper.
He's the creeper.
Yeah, that was the main response, because we asked people, like, what would ever stop you from going on a first date with someone? Like, what would it take for you to reject somebody asking you on a first date?
The biggest thing was creeper vibes.
Yeah, they're like creeper vibes, or like you just don't know them well enough yet. But then the second one that they said was like, if you can genuinely feel like there's no connection or chemistry already, or like you're just not like interested or attracted to them.
Yeah, if you're talking over text and it's dry over text,
what is it going to be like in person?
Yeah, what do you think it's going to be like in person? Just horrible.
Yeah, although some people are better in person in conversation than they are in text, but...
Do you think that you're better in person than you are in text?
I don't know, you tell me.
I don't know.
Do you think I'm easier to talk to in person or in text?
I think you're a pretty easy person to talk to.
In general.
Regardless of the medium, but yeah, I'm just curious what you think about yourself. You think you're more or less interesting online?
I think, oh, this is hard. I think I'm probably more interesting in person.
I think I'm
Although
way more
my
interesting in
texting-
person.
Yeah, you are.
I think especially just
You're
because
a dry
like
texter.
it's like if you just like don't have time, like I don't know. I definitely put more effort into my in-person conversations than I do texting somebody on my phone or on a dating
My
app.
texting game is strong, but my in-person game is even stronger.
Oh, all right.
I feel like people, when they're first getting to know one another, are better at texting. Like, because you're, like, having constant conversation. But then it can be, like, once you've formed, like, a friendship or relationship with them, obviously in person. Like our conversations.
Plus, when people are slow texters, like...
Yeah. Oh, okay, let's talk about this. Because you know the games that people play.
Have you ever intentionally
like put off a text?
Waited to text somebody?
I used to, yeah, and I hate that I did that.
I hate that.
I hate that
it's
I
like,
did that.
Let's be real. Everybody is glued to their phone 24/7.
When does your phone not
If you're
work
not
you?
hitting somebody back, like the odds of you actually being busy doing something, I feel like are pretty slim.
It's true. Sometimes if I'm having like a good, deep conversation with someone and they sent me like a really meaningful text or something that requires a lot of my attention and I'm in the middle of doing something, it'll take like a couple hours for me to respond because I want to give them my full attention.
Do you have your reds on?
Do I?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Really?
I think for like my sister or something like that, but I don't think I have my reds on. But like, I am pretty good at like instantly responding. But I used to like play that stupid game like, oh, I don't want to look desperate to this guy, so I'm gonna wait 10 minutes. But like even certain texts, like it's like the second they come in, I just happen to be picking up my phone. I'm not just gonna like be like, well, it would look desperate if I responded right away. It's like, no, I'm looking at this right now. I'm gonna respond right now.
Yeah, I keep my reds on. Well, just because I feel like it's like a more authentic way of communicating. It's like if it's undelivered and I haven't read it yet, it's because I'm like genuinely busy and I haven't gotten to it.
Oh yeah, so they know you're not just ignoring them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually nice. I should turn on my reds.
But I guess it makes it sting a little bit more
if you don't respond.
If you're on red and I don't respond quick.
I'm pretty good at responding.
No, I am too. Yeah, just because.
And I'm instant. Like I hate when you put it off. It's like you're playing this game and then all of a sudden there's no possible chemistry anymore because you're not in the moment. You're like thinking about what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
I hate that especially when, like, there'll be a big break in a conversation and somebody will come back to it, like forever later.
Yeah.
And just, like, pick it up like it never broke. You know what I mean?
And you're already over it.
Yeah, it's like, look, like I'm not continuing this conversation because
it's done.
It's been like
the
3
momentum
days
is lost
since I heard from you.
Yeah, it's true. And then I don't know, for me it's like I have always like 10 different things running through my head of what I want to talk to a certain person about. So if they're not responding quick enough, I'm like, well, shoot, I just forgot my million things I need to tell you.
You got to be able to text as quick as you can talk.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I agree. And I think that is how you form like natural instant chemistry, and then you can tell based off of that, like, is this a person I'd want to go on a date with? Because you are getting to know them like in real time.
Yeah. Have you ever, from a dating app or meeting somebody otherwise, like done like a FaceTime or a Skype date before?
A Skype? How old are you? I did
a
FaceTime
Zoom.
before.
Did you ever send somebody a Zoom link?
Please meet me at this time. Put this in your calendar.
Set the password to enter the meeting as like my potential lover or something.
Camera's on, please. Raise your hand if you have a question.
Yeah, no, I've definitely done that.
The FaceTime.
Yeah.
Or like a quick call. I actually kind of like it because you get an immediate like vibe for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, one of the guys that I talked to the longest and had the funnest with, like, we started out with a FaceTime almost instantly. And then, like, he would, like, FaceTime me randomly. This was when I was, like, fresh back in the dating scene, so I hadn't been, like, there was not FaceTime when I was, like, first dating before I got married. So I was kind of taken aback when he first FaceTimed me. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then we talked, and it was, like, so fun. And then he would randomly, like, FaceTime me all the time and just, like, have 5-minute conversations and then be like, Casey, and I loved it.
I think that is pretty revealing as to, like, what somebody's personality is, too.
Yeah.
Like, if you try to, like, surprise somebody with a FaceTime call and they don't answer, it's like,
they're gonna catfish you. They're a catfish. Catchfish. We came up with a new phrase today.
Yeah, the opposite of a catfish is a catchfish.
Yeah, because they're a catch.
They're a good catch.
They're better in person than in their pictures. You were first attracted to their pictures. Just wait until you see them in person.
Just wait till you see them in person.
They're a catch. Catchfish.
You'll be blown away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trademark that. Copyright that. So then we were talking about, like, okay, you made it to the first date, and depending on how well it went, what do you do after the date? Like, what's etiquette? Because everybody texts now, right? Like, you're expecting the follow-up text.
Well, let's go back to on the date.
Okay.
Because we were kind of talking about this earlier, and I think this is like a really good strategy.
Oh, yes. Okay, no,
this is a really good strategy that's worked for me. What did you call them? Choose your adventure books.
Yeah,
right?
choose your adventure books.
So.
But start out with the micro date.
Well, yeah. So, like, micro date is like page 1 of the choose your adventure book.
Yeah.
So this is something super simple. It's like, let's go grab ice cream. Let's go grab Swig.
Swig is like a drink place here in Utah. It's like a
Fizz,
soda,
Swig, whatever, soda shop.
They don't have them outside of Utah.
Okay.
So I had to clarify that. You go and get a little soda just like you would a frozen yogurt.
Do something super simple, super cheap. I would say the biggest factor for me is that it just doesn't take a lot of time. Because it's like, you know pretty quick if you're going to hit it off with somebody and whether or not you want to spend more time with them.
Yeah. And
so you kind of structure these dates where...
it could literally be 45 minutes.
Or less. Like, who cares?
Whoa! Okay.
It's like,
I'm imagining myself spending like 3 hours getting ready for a date and the guy takes me on a 45-minute date. Or less. But it is what it is.
It is what it is, guys.
I still think this is a great idea. Keep going.
So, the Choose Your Adventure book goes like this. You read a page. At the bottom corner of the page, it says, if you want to see this character go on this adventure, turn to page 17. If you want to see this character go on the other adventure, turn to page 24.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of, follow the pages depending on what kind of adventure you want to see.
And maybe after page 1, you close the book.
Exactly. After page 1, you're like, this book is horrible.
Yeah.
And you close the book, you drop the date off, and then the date's over. And you don't have to suffer anymore.
So if that's your tactic, calm down. Suffer.
No, not suffer. But
they might be suffering too.
I mean, odds are they are. If it's like a super dry, boring date, you're not hitting it off. I don't think that anyone's having a good time.
The important thing if you're going into the date with this tactic is like you should probably have a good idea of things that are going on around you too. Like maybe there's like a concert that night somewhere, or like in the summer there's like a carnival or whatever, so that if the micro date, if page 1 goes well, you have already in your head like, oh, do you want to stop by the carnival and go on a ride, or
Guys, I can't tell you how many times I've literally just hopped on Google and said, what's going on around Lehigh, Utah tonight?
Yeah.
Because these soda shops and ice cream shops, whatever, they're always going to be there. Like, that doesn't take a whole lot of advanced planning. But yeah, if you're going to go from page 1 to page 17, you got to have some stuff in your pocket.
You got to have a page 17.
Yeah, you got to know what you're going to do after. And I don't even think you need to, like, have it decided one thing. If page 1 goes well enough, then you guys are probably comfortable enough with each other. You can be like, hey, do you want to go to page 17 or do you want to go to page 24? You want to go see the concert or do you want to go see a movie or whatever?
What about like page 96 where it's like, do you want to go back to my place? Do you think that's okay on a first date?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on your standards, but personally, no.
Yeah, I think most people have that line drawn on a first date.
Well, I guess it kind of goes back to like, what are your intentions if we go back to your place? It's like, are we just gonna like hang out and make dinner or something, or are we gonna watch a movie, or
are we gonna Netflix and chill? There should be like
getting salacious, Emily.
I'm giving the options. Like if you're going back with someone, you need to know like what their intention is.
No, and like that's so true. And I think it's like very important to be like 100% upfront with what your intentions are.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go down that road.
So then, can we get back to the post-date etiquette?
Yeah, post-date etiquette.
So the date ends, no matter whether it was the page 1 micro 45-minute date or whether it was we went to the carnival after and then we went and saw a movie after, like it lasted all night long. What is the etiquette? Like, I feel like most people are expecting a text, but who sends the text?
I don't know. This is actually kind of funny. I've had some of my guy friends, they'll go on dates with girls, and then he was almost like put off that she didn't text and say like, thank you, like that was so fun, I had such a good time.
I think she should. If the guy just paid for a full night for her,
I don't think it's something to like get offended over. I don't know. I guess for me, like I probably just
I don't know if I'd
really
be like
notice.
But her offended, but I'd be like, well dang, I just put a lot of effort into that night for that girl and she didn't even say thank you.
I think it's less about like at least for me, it's less about like the gratitude part of it and more about like, okay, now I want to know where you stand after we've gone on this first date, we've gotten to know each other.
Okay.
It's
yes,
like, do you want to get to know me more, or are we donezo?
Yes. And that's the real reason why people want the text. But I think regardless, whether you were feeling the person or not, I think whoever was invited on the date, so most of the time the girl, should give a thank you text and just say thank you, that was fun.
So does a guy have to say thank you for coming?
Yeah, like he should follow it up and respond to her if she said that.
Well, like, yeah, but if she didn't send that initial text, should he follow up with her?
If he's interested to see where she's at, yeah.
Okay.
Now, we talked about this before, like, has there ever been a date where neither of you...
Time?
Yeah, and so
neither of us require any explanation. I'll just never be talking to or seeing you ever
it's
again.
wild. Because then you're like, that person just fell off the face of the planet. I never spoke to them again, but also they never spoke to me again.
Which is fine.
It's fine. It was totally mutual, but I think if one text comes into the other person, they at least deserve the respect of a response. Like, even if that response is just, yeah, thanks, I had a great time, or thank you for making the time for me tonight.
Okay, after those first two texts, the thank you and the initial response to the thank you, can you ghost?
I think you can ghost after that. But if there was a follow-up text after
What if there's one more follow-up?
Oh!
It's like, oh, we should do something again. I had so much fun. But you're not down.
Yeah, if you're not down. So that's where it's like the next person, that text is probing. Like, they're trying to figure out where you're at by saying we should do that again. And I am so guilty of this, but like, that's where I would normally ghost if I wasn't interested, because I hate telling people bad news.
Yeah, well...
Like, I don't like to be the bearer of bad news if, like, I'm not interested.
Pull up that one submission about how they handled it.
This was good insight.
Because I've definitely done it both ways. There's been times where I'm just, like, brutally honest with somebody. I'm like, look, I don't think we're compatible or a good match. Or I don't think I've ever gone so far as to say, I'm just not interested in you.
Yeah. Don't put it so much, don't make it so personal.
You can be tactful about it.
Yes. So one of my followers' responses said, you don't owe an explanation at all, but it is common courtesy that you at least give, like, a notice by saying, it wasn't a match for me, I don't want to lead you on.
What if somebody had the audacity to ask why?
They're signing themselves up then for whatever answer you have. If they really want to know why...
I just don't know if I'd respond to that. Or maybe I would.
I think I would just say, oh, thanks for letting me know. You know, and somebody else kind of said the same thing. Like, if they're trying to figure out, like, if you're interested or not, you don't have to be specific. They said you don't have to be specific about what makes you not interested, but just let them know.
Yeah.
And then we kind of talked about
I think that's solid.
Some graceful ways to just say, like, I don't know that we're that compatible, but I really do appreciate the time that you gave me tonight. Or saying something like, maybe kind of making something up, like, I don't know if I'm ready to be dating.
I don't think we like this one because, first of all, I don't think it's being honest. Second of all, it's like, what if you tell somebody, you're like, yeah, like, I'm not really in the dating scene right now, and then you're on a date with somebody else the next week and you see that person in public while you're on your date. You're like, oh, I changed my mind.
It's true. I guess I had an experience once where, like, I thought I was, like, ready to get back out and date. And then I went on, like, a date with this guy. And also, he was very different in person than what he was, like, over text and everything. So it was an instant, like, no chemistry whatsoever. But as I was with him, I had this realization, like, whoa, I don't think I'm ready to date again.
Do you
and
feel
so I told
like
him that.
Most of the first dates that you go on that you don't enjoy are because they're a catfish and that sets the tone for the whole date?
Catfish in any way. Like, I'm not just talking about physical. Like, it could be catfish, like, they were so fun and engaging over text, and then in person they're not, like, good at conversation at all.
Super dry.
Then I get pissed. Like, I just get angry at that point.
Man, you were so chill before. What happened?
Yeah, and then I'm angry because I'm like, I just wasted a night. You know?
Wasted? Or, like, was it cool that you got to get to know somebody?
Well, they weren't even letting me get to know them.
Yeah, because it wasn't even the real them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can be angry for sure.
Yeah. So, at that point, then, if they sent the follow-up text after, I would just kind of be like, in the past, I always would ghost. I need to be so much better at this. Hearing everybody else's responses when I asked that question, they were all like, never ghost. Like, it's not okay to ghost. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I'm like, oh, I have been so real.
All the time.
I just hate saying, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, is what it is.
But I think you can be tactful, and I think in the long run, it's way less hurtful if you're just upfront with somebody instead of stringing them along forever when you're not interested.
It's true, but ghosting isn't really stringing them along. It's just like leaving them alone.
Well, I mean, but like the opposite, if you're like, yeah, like let's do something next week, and then they like hit you up the next week, they're like, oh, are we gonna do something this week? And you say no, let's do something next week, or just like,
oh, I hate that.
Like keep pushing it
Putting
off, keep putting it off, or like making excuses, or
that one, just be upfront and be like, you know, I'm not interested.
or
in
even
spending that
like,
time.
if you have no backbone whatsoever, and you guys even end up going on a second date out of pity or something.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, just don't lead people on. That's messed up.
One of the responses I got was kind of similar to that. The girl said that she had this guy friend that kept like pursuing her, and in her mind, she thought he was interested in her because he kept saying, do you want to go do this with me? Should we go do this? Like all this stuff.
And maybe this is an important distinction. Did he frame it as a hangout?
And that's
or
what
was
she was
it
saying.
A date?
She said like hang out, and that's where it finally clicked with her at the end. But the problem is like he never identified the intention. So he was calling it like hangouts, or do you want to go do this with me? And she was convinced that he was into her, because why would he be spending this much time with her? And then finally he expressed to her like, I'm not interested in you in that way at all. And she was so thrown off, and then she said, go get a guy friend to do that with you then. Like it was,
if you just want to hang out, go hang out with the boys.
yeah. So I think kind of prefacing everything with your intention. A lot of times, what were you saying? You just like, when you ask somebody on a date now, you say like, do you want to take time to get to know each other?
Well, yeah, I've been trying this new strategy.
Okay.
A new strat. And it's like, okay, you match with somebody on a dating app, or you meet somebody new and like you're into them. I've literally just been straight up asking them, what's the best way to get to know you better?
That's a good question. What's the best way to get to know you?
Because I think that leaves it like pretty open. It's like, if I'm asking that question, obviously I'm interested in getting to know you more. But
if you decide after the first time that you're not romantically interested, you never were like
yeah, what did somebody
expressing that.
What did somebody say about that? You have plausible deniability.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually really funny. If you frame it as a hangout and it doesn't work out, you have plausible deniability.
Yeah. But I think if you frame it as, let's go get to know each other like better.
Well, yeah, and I think
And
it just
then
kind of leaves the ball in their court too. It's like,
yeah.
If they say the best way to get to know me better is by taking me on a date, perfect. If the best way to get to know me better is by let's like talk and text more, or let's do a Skype.
You know what do you think my answer would be to that?
I think you'd be like, yeah, I'll download Skype.
No. If I was asked what would be the best way to get to know you better, what's the classic Emily answer?
You'd be like, let's go on a 3-hour walk in the middle of the afternoon when you're obviously not available.
I'd be like, yeah, the best way to get to know me is to go on a walk and talk.
Yeah, probably.
And that's so low key, because all I expect that guy expects of me is to get to know me. And so I'm not like, well, he was acting like he was way interested in me. It's like, no, he just wanted to get to know me.
Yeah.
There's nothing like telling me.
What do you think I would tell you if you said, what's the best way to get to know me?
You?
Yeah.
You want to go grocery shopping?
Probably, honestly.
And then eat some meat with me? My carnivore diet?
Eat some meat on the carnivore diet.
Do you want to come make my whole house smell like shrimp? Kyle had to eat before we recorded.
He did.
So I'm going to have a shrimp house for the next couple of days.
Yeah, we're going to cut that out.
No, we're throwing you under the bus. My friend said today, I was on a walk with her, and she said, she was telling me a story about her husband, and he was standing right there, and she's like, I'm about to throw you under the bus, but then I pick you back up at the end of this story.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, that doesn't have to be in there, I was just telling you. If I ever throw you under the bus, I'll pick you right back up.
Yeah, so the best way to get to know me is by cooking shrimp with me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Little shrimps.
I've had tons of first dates where I'm like, instead of going to get dinner, like, why don't we make dinner together?
Okay, somebody asked me this once. They're like, what would be your ideal first date? Somebody asked me that on my Instagram stories, and I responded and said, go grocery shopping, buy stuff to make dinner, and then make dinner together.
Have your sister send you all of her super, super easy recipes that are super, super good. So they're like super impressed, but you're like, yeah, it was...
No, but, or like just figure out how to make a meal together.
Yeah, I know. Or even just Google a recipe. It doesn't matter what it is. Following a recipe's not hard, guys.
No, not at all. I got wrecked for that answer. People were like, are you kidding me? You're going to let that person come to your house on the first date? Or they were like...
Interesting.
And I think Utah's safer than other places for sure. Like, just the culture here, the bubble here, you're much more trusting of people in Utah. But then they were like, make dinner together. Like, he should be buying you dinner. And I was like, no, that's the cutest thing, to go to the grocery store together, pick out ingredients, and then cook. How much more romantic does it get than cooking in the kitchen together?
I also feel... See, that just kind of goes back to, like, she's mad about, like, how much money she's getting spent on her.
Some people are a little too uptight.
I would say also, the times where I've cooked for people... A lot of times it's more expensive than if I were to just like go buy dinner.
Yeah.
Depending on where you go, obviously, and like what you decide to make.
Ruth's Chris.
Okay, yeah.
Please. The other thing though is I've got some kind of like food dietary restriction type thing. So like if we're picking out the meal together, it's kind of nice because I can pick something that I know I'm actually going to be able to eat rather than going to a restaurant and like having to do the embarrassingly awkward order of like, and can you take this and this out of my meal?
Yeah, doing carnivore diet has definitely narrowed down my options for dates.
Where do you go? Or do you just go somewhere and order a steak? And a slab of butter on the side?
I haven't been on any dinner dates since doing carnivore.
Wait, where are you getting ice cream then?
This is like in the past.
Oh, okay.
Before carnivore. But I know how to make carnivore ice cream now.
Before carnivore. That came out so quick. I was waiting.
Okay, that's actually way
Before
funny.
Carnivore, after carnivore. Kyle's got a cool transformation on carnivore.
Carnivore's been really cool, and we can maybe talk about that another time.
Yeah, we're gonna do a little experiment with me trying out carnivore for the
We are
day.
going all over the place with this pod.
It's okay. We'll decide what we want and what we don't.
Well, I think like main takeaways. I think that people need to stop putting so much meaning behind hangout versus date.
Yeah.
And I think instead people just need to be like super upfront and transparent about like what their intentions are.
100%.
It's all about intentions. It's like if you just wanna, I'm gonna say, it's so hard not to use like a specific word. It's like if you just wanna like hang out and be friends and like just be friends, like tell me you just want to be friends. If you wanna like explore something romantically,
right,
and
like
see where this is gonna go.
There? Yeah.
Like I don't know. Tell somebody.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm interested in you.
And if you're like,
let me get to know you.
What's the best way to get to know?
What's the best way to get to know?
But that's what I love about that question is like, I think initially, all you can really know is that you want to get to know someone.
Yeah.
Like you don't really know until after that first time, either hanging out or going on a date, whether you want to pursue them romantically or more platonically. But that's why it's like telling them the intention. What's the best way to get to know you? Like, I want to just get to know you. How would you like me to do that? That was fire for you to be able to come up with that question. That's good. I feel like everybody should lead with that. That's why you're on the pod.
That's why Bad Pop has earned his place on the pod.
What I would love to do in a future episode is hear first date stories. The wins and especially the losses.
The losses. I've got a super, super good one actually.
Do you want to tell us here or save it for a future episode?
You tell me.
I want to hear it right now.
You want to hear it right now? So this was literally my very first date ever.
As like a teenager?
Yeah. I'm in high school at Davis High. There's this new girl in one of my classes. And I'm just like, I didn't think I was being flirty. Like, I was just like getting to know her.
Yeah.
Like, we're just like, I don't know. She was like new that year. I think, I'm trying to think if I'm 16, was that freshman year?
Sophomore year.
I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Anyway.
Were you a confident 16-year-old? You said you were flirty. Like, you were just like, did you know you had game, or were you like kind of shy?
I think I had some game in high school.
Okay.
Maybe not as much as some of my buddies, but
You were confident in
I
your
had
game. Okay.
Depends, I guess. I don't know. I think everyone's kind of on a spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Back to the story. So there's this girl, moves in, I make friends with her. I would say she's like not part of the crowd of people that I like usually hang out with.
Yeah.
And so my birthday is in October. The Halloween dance is also in October. So I just barely turned 16. I'm just now driving. I am super excited because I'm at school this one day, and one of these girls that I hang out with a bunch is like, oh my gosh, like, I'm literally coming after school. I'm gonna ask you to this dance. Like, have you been asked yet? And I was like, no, I haven't. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
So I go home from school. I walk into the house. My mom had let this new girl into our house, and she had decorated my room and asked me to the same dance.
So this new girl is a different girl than the one that you were excited about asking you.
Yeah, this new girl is just like the
dang.
new girl that I like really don't know that well. She's not friends with any of my friends. Like, she doesn't really have a whole lot of other friends that we can like go be part of like the group dates and stuff with, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I can't tell her no, that's mean.
Yeah, she's new. She just put herself out there.
Yeah, so I text my friend, I'm like, I just got home, I've been asked to the dance, like, don't come ask me, somebody already did.
Yeah.
And I end up going on the dance with this girl. There's a lot of things that were like kind of weird. We ended up like being in this group with a bunch of people that neither of us really knew that well. And like, she wasn't 16 yet, so I was driving and stuff, even though it was like a girl's choice dance. And we're like at the dance, and she like, I can like visualize her in my head. We're like in the mosh pit